Warmth of Winter by Jeanette. January, winds bit through the air, carrying with them the promise of another unforgiving day in the small rural village. Snow draped over rooftops and stretched endlessly across the frozen fields. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys as families huddled by their hearths, but not the Harper twins, not yet. Mia tugged her patched coat tighter around her small frame as she trudged through the snow. Behind her, Liam lingered, his gaze fixed on the frosted trees sparkling like silver under the pale winter sun. "Liam, stop daydreaming," Mia called over her shoulder, exasperated. "We need to get the water before the well freezes over." "I'm coming," he said, quickening his steps. But his pace slowed again as he stared at the horizon, lost in thought. The two finally reached the well. Mia went straight to work, her small hands turning the winch with practiced precision. Liam, on the other hand, pressed his gloved fingers to his mouth, blowing warm breath into the air. He shivered, but didn't complain. "Mia," he said after a moment, his voice soft and almost hesitant, "do you think winter will ever end?" She didn't answer right away. The water sloshed as she hoisted the bucket. "Of course it will," she said finally, "but don't hold your breath. Come on, help me carry this." The trek home was quieter than usual, the only sound the crunch of their boots in the snow. Liam stopped suddenly, his head cocked to one side. "Mia, did you hear that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Hear what?" she replied, her tone impatient. But then she heard it too, a faint, pitiful whimper, carried by the wind. "It's coming from over there," Liam said, already veering off toward the abandoned shed near the forest's edge. "Liam, wait, it's probably nothing." Mia sighed but followed. Her twin's curiosity was both his best and worst trait. Inside the shed, the air was colder than outside. Dust motes hung suspended in the pale light streaming through the broken roof. And there, in the corner, was a small bundle of fur, shivering violently. "Oh no," Mia murmured, kneeling down. The dog was thin, its ribs showing through its scruffy golden coat. Its large, dark eyes darted between the twins, wary but pleading. "It's freezing," Liam said, his voice cracking. "We can't leave it here." Mia hesitated, her practicality warring with her compassion. "We can't keep it either. We barely have enough to eat ourselves. Please, Mia." Liam looked at her, his expression so earnest it was almost unbearable. "We'll figure something out. We have to help." The Harper home was small and modest, its wooden walls barely keeping out the cold. Inside, Mrs. Harper sat at the kitchen table, her hands busy mending a torn scarf. Her brow furrowed as the twins burst in, bringing the chill and something else with them. "What on earth?" she began, her voice trailing off as she noticed the dog in Liam's arms. "Please, Mama," Liam blurted, his words tumbling over each other. "We found him outside, shivering. We couldn't just leave him." Mrs. Harper's sharp eyes moved from the dog to Mia, who stood stiffly, arms crossed. "We'll take care of him," Mia said quickly, sensing her mother's hesitation. "We'll feed him, clean him. We'll do everything." Mrs. Harper sighed deeply, setting down her needle and thread. "You know we don't have much to spare," she said. "I know," Liam said, his voice soft but firm. "But he doesn't have anything." For a long moment, Mrs. Harper said nothing. Then she nodded. "All right, but you both better keep your word. This dog is your responsibility." That night, the twins named the dog Max. He sat on a pile of blankets in their small room, his eyes watching their every move. Mia carefully cleaned the dirt from his fur, while Liam held the lamp steady, its dim light flickering in the cold air. "He's so thin," Liam said, his voice full of sorrow. "How could someone just leave him out there?" "Maybe he ran away," Mia said, not looking up. "Or maybe they didn't have a choice." Liam frowned, but said nothing. He reached out to stroke Max's head, and for the first time, the dog leaned into his touch. Over the next few days, Max became part of the family. He followed the twins everywhere, his tail wagging whenever Liam called his name. Mia took charge of rationing scraps for him, while Liam made sure he stayed warm. "He likes you best," Mia teased one afternoon as Max nuzzled against Liam's leg. "I think he likes us both," Liam replied, grinning. But even as they laughed, Mia couldn't ignore the pang of worry in her chest. The food they had wouldn't last forever, and winter still held its icy grip. One evening, as the wind howled outside, the family gathered by the fireplace. Mrs. Harper opened her worn Bible, the pages crackling softly as she turned them. "Tonight," she said, "I want to read you a story about kindness." The twins sat close together, listening as their mother's steady voice filled the room. She read about a traveler who stopped to help a stranger, sacrificing his own comfort to save another. "Kindness isn't always easy," Mrs. Harper said when she finished, "but it's what makes us who we are." Liam nodded solemnly, his hand resting on Max's scruffy head. The next day, at the village market, the twins heard a man asking questions. He was elderly, wrapped in a thick coat, his voice tinged with worry. "I'm looking for my dog," he said. "He's golden brown, about this big." Liam froze, his heart sinking. "Mia," he whispered. "What if he's talking about Max?" Mia's eyes narrowed as she studied the man. "We don't know that yet," she said. But the doubt had already taken root. The twins hurried home, their minds racing. Max greeted them at the door, tail wagging and oblivious to their unease. "Mia, what if Max belongs to him?" Liam asked. His voice trembling, Mia hesitated, stroking Max's fur absent-mindedly. "We can't jump to conclusions. But if he does, we have to do the right thing." Liam's face fell. "But what if he's not kind? What if he doesn't take care of Max?" "We'll figure it out," Mia said firmly, though doubt gnawed at her. The next morning, the twins returned to the market, hoping to learn more about the man. They found him near the cobbler's shop, speaking to another villager. "Excuse me," Mia said cautiously. "We heard you're looking for a dog. What happened to him?" The man's eyes softened as he turned to them. "His name is Buddy. He ran off during a storm last month. I've been searching for him ever since." Mia exchanged a glance with Liam. "We may have found him," she said. The man, whose name was Mr. Allen, followed them back to their house. When Max saw him, his tail wagged hesitantly. Mr. Allen knelt down, calling softly, "Buddy?" Max sniffed the air, then approached cautiously. His tail wagged faster as he leaned into Mr. Allen's touch. "It's him," Mr. Allen said, his voice breaking with relief. "Thank you. I've been so worried." Liam's heart sank. Max clearly recognized the man, but the thought of losing him was unbearable. As they sat in the Harpers' modest living room, Mr. Allen explained his situation. He lived alone in a neighboring town and had rescued Buddy years ago. "He's all I have," he said. Mrs. Harper listened carefully. "Max has become part of our family," she said gently. "But it's clear you care for him deeply." An idea struck Mia. "Maybe you could visit him," she suggested. Or we could bring him to you sometimes? Mr. Allen smiled. I'd like that very much. The day Max left with Mr. Allen was bittersweet. Liam hugged him tightly, whispering, We'll see you soon. Max looked back as they walked away, his eyes full of trust. Mia put a hand on Liam's shoulder. He's not gone forever, she said. Days passed, and the village fell deeper into winter's icy hold. Food grew scarcer, and the twins missed Max terribly. One evening, Liam said, I wish things didn't have to change. Mia looked out at the snow-covered fields. Sometimes they do, but that doesn't mean we forget. A sudden blizzard swept through the village, cutting off the Harpers from the outside world. They huddled together for warmth, rationing what little food they had left. Mama, Mia said, her voice shaky, do you think we'll be okay? Mrs. Harper smiled faintly. We've made it through worse. 3 days into the storm, there was a knock at the door. Mia opened it to find Mr. Allen, bundled against the cold, with Max by his side. I couldn't stop thinking about you, he said. I brought supplies. Max bounded into the house, his tail wagging furiously. Liam laughed as the dog jumped into his lap. You came back, Liam exclaimed, his face alight with joy. Mr. Allen smiled. He missed you as much as you missed him. That night, they gathered by the fire, sharing stories and laughter. Mr. Allen spoke of his adventures with Max, and the twins shared tales of their winter escapades. We're stronger together, Mrs. Harper said, looking around at their small circle. As the days passed, the storm subsided, and a subtle warmth began to creep into the air. The snow started to melt, revealing patches of earth. Spring is coming, Mia said one morning, her voice full of hope. Mr. Allen continued to visit, bringing Max each time. He helped the Harpers repair their home and shared meals with them. Slowly, he became part of their family. With the thaw came the promise of new life. The Harpers and Mr. Allen worked together to prepare the fields for planting. Max ran alongside the twins, barking joyfully. This year will be different, Mrs. Harper said, her voice full of quiet determination. One afternoon, Mr. Allen sat the twins down. I've been thinking, he said. Max belongs with you. He's happiest here. Liam's eyes widened. But he's your dog, Mr. Allen smiled. He's your family now, too. Max officially became a permanent member of the Harper family. We'll take good care of him, Mia promised. I know you will, Mr. Allen said. With Max by their side, the Harpers faced the changing seasons with renewed strength. The seeds they planted began to sprout, and the village came alive with color. One sunny day, the family hosted a small gathering to celebrate the end of winter. Neighbors came together, sharing food and stories. Thank you for everything, Mia said to Mr. Allen. He smiled. Kindness has a way of coming full circle. As the first flowers of spring bloomed, Liam and Mia sat with Max beneath a tree. Do you think we'll ever forget this winter? Liam asked. Mia shook her head. It's the winter that taught us how to hold on to what matters,